7-0. So far, you're right where you wanted to be. Got a game coming up this week. It's going to seem like everyone's going to expect them to just lay down and die. They're not going to do that.
No. Coach Gilbert and his staff do a really good job over there and have done a good job the last few years at Sabine. And they've been dealt a tough hand with losing their quarterback, week 2 versus New Diana. And, looks like he's going to be okay. But losing him, he's, pretty much the heart and soul of their program. And so since then, they've scrambled and struggled a little bit. But he does a really good job. They do a really good job over there and have a really strong athletic program. And his coaches are, focused on kids and doing right by them. And so all that to say, they're going to have their kids ready to play. And we're going to talk about this throughout this conversation. But we just got to, again, continue to keep the focus on ourselves.
While we're at that point, Coach, how do you keep the kids focused and not look down the road next week at Liberty Alo?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for us coaches. We're all human and we kind of look ahead and we know what's at stake. And I just think, though, that we've talked about it all year. The concept of a nameless, faceless opponent is not new to our kids. We talk about it all the time. This Monday's preparation versus Sabine shouldn't look different than any other Monday. And we can't be a team that, dictates how we prepare based on who's on our schedule that week. We know that there are a lot of things that we got to do to get better. And I do think we had a really great week last week in our off week and did get better. And we can talk more about that here in a second. But it's just a constant reminder that we got to keep the attention on ourselves. And I think that's why practice is so important, because we can see things and find things that we need to fix and work on and say, hey, we can't worry about anybody else. We got enough to worry about with ourselves. And so we just keep having to keep hammering that and also just stress to them, the importance of each opportunity and that we don't get very many guaranteed opportunities in life and that we can't afford to overlook or take anyone lightly.
Coach, this is also an opportunity to give some of the guys that haven't been starting some play time and get them seasoned up a little bit.
Yeah, we and that was one of the things when we got into district, we knew we wanted to start doing a better job of playing more people, and we've been able to do that. And it's really opened, the eyes of a lot of our fans who maybe were unaware of some of these kids. In particular, our backfield, our running backs room is really deep.
Great surprise this year.
And I think it's been a surprise to everybody except us. We all knew what those guys could do. We also knew they were behind somebody who's really, really good, that they just needed an opportunity, and those kids have been working. And in particular, Jacoby Morrow is somebody who, he'll be our scout team running back today, and he gets out there and runs hard against our varsity guys and gives them a great look, and they don't like tackling him. And then when it gets to game time Friday night, when his number's called, he's ready to go. And how he runs on Friday is how he runs Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
And he's a sophomore, correct?
He's a sophomore, yeah. And then again, you throw Dale Brown in there, obviously Turkey. We have some guys that can really tote the pill, and of course, in addition to Cam, obviously. But we've been able to play a lot of guys and get some more people reps and get more people comfortable, and play some guys on different sides of the ball than we normally play them. And so just trying to build depth, with the people on our team is something we've been trying to focus on.
Coach, around the district, of course, we'll be playing Sabine. Liberty Alo plays White Oak, and Tatum plays Atlanta. And that's going to tell us a little bit more about Tatum. Tatum's not what I thought they were, and it may be because they played, Liberty Alo, they were, back and forth, and they're not what I thought they were, but they're still a dangerous team.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Coach Keeling, won 2 state championships. He knows what he's doing, and that whole staff, they do a really good job as well. And I have no doubt, we're going to get everybody's best shot, and we understand that. And that when we do play them, is going to be the last week of the season, so that one's going to be a tough one. But just looking around our district, I think it is kind of shaping up how we thought it would be, though, with us and LE and Tatum all in the mix. for those top couple of spots, and then you got Gladewater and Atlanta kind of fighting for that fourth spot, and even White Oak having a chance there too, depending on what they can do to kind of down this stretch of the season. But we do have we thought we would kind of coming in. You and I talked, about our district's non district record and how well we did, and thought that would play out into being a really competitive district, and so far it has been. You've had some really close games. We got a chance to go watch Tatum and Gladewater, last week, and that was a super competitive game, one that could have gone either way. Gladewater was winning it until about 6.5 minutes left, and so it's a competitive district, and we'll find out a little bit more about it, after this week.
Coach, let's talk a little about some of our players. In East Texas Longview News-Journal, Cameron Williams, #1 tailback, running back. 160 totes, 1,401 yards, and 17 touchdowns. That's a lot of yards for 6 games.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and again, and a lot of those he hadn't played, necessarily the whole time. Leonard, and then even White Oak, he had one series in the second half, and then we pulled him. But what Cam continues to do is just, it's amazing to watch, and it's not surprising to us because, again, we lifted weights today, and he's in there attacking that weight room and throwing more weight on the bar, and that's just the kind of person he is. And so he continues to challenge himself and look for ways to get better, and so that's really not surprising to see the season he's having.
Cam is almost like a silent assassin, isn't he?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of noise.
No.
Just watch me work.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun to coach because of that, because he's very humble and very others-centered, and I think that's what makes him so special. We talk all the time about, his ability, a lot of it is God-given, and he didn't do anything to necessarily earn that, but what he decides to do with that platform and what's been given to him, that's on him. And I think he's taken that responsibility seriously, especially this senior year, and emerged as a big-time captain for us. And then, also has continued to look for ways to grow himself and get better. He's on track to graduate in December, which has never been done here at Jefferson, and be able to enroll early in school. And so in order to do that, he has to take a lot of those classes. He's taking them all online and at his own pace, and it takes a lot of maturity to buckle down and do that. I don't know if I could have done that as an 18-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid, to be able to just kind of be on my own and go at my own pace, and he's doing that and doing a really good job of it.
He's an extremely grounded young man.
Yeah, no doubt.
He'll make it in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
And he'll make it in a big way.
Yep. Yeah.
That's what I love seeing, when the kids work hard and then excel in life after football. Football's not going to be there forever.
Right. That's right.
If they don't have the foundation prior to football, you're a lost soldier.
Yeah, that's right.
7th ranked quarterback in all of East Texas, Tamias Taylor.
Yeah.
72 of 116. So you're looking at about a 78% completion rate.
Yeah.
He's 72 of 116, 1,324 yards and 19 touchdowns, passing touchdowns. I don't know how many. He's got 5 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And again, we talk about Tamias all the time. Someone else who's not flashy, who we've had him on this show before, and we talked about his size and all that. But he's just he is another one who's really embraced coaching and embraced what we're trying to do here, and it shows each Friday night, because he just doesn't freak out. He continues to work through his progressions, keeps his eyes downfield, and does a great job every week of leading our program.
Coach, to me, what's been the most progressive area, in my opinion, is the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Most of those guys played last year.
Yep.
They weren't what they are this year. Not just because of maturity and size, but maturity as an athlete is what really has the off-season program has worked.
Yeah. Coach Reeves does an unbelievable job with those guys. I mean, they're watching video every day together, and he coaches them hard and loves on those guys harder. And I think we were talking in our meetings yesterday. that the offensive line had the biggest amount of growth last week during our bye week than of anybody. And that's really good to see that that group just continues to get better and is playing better together. You know, they're really coming together, starting to gel. And to see that is really promising, because we're going to be as good as those guys are. And to see their growth and their belief continue to mature and build each week has been awesome.
You know, Coach, without I want to say a great offensive and defensive line, you do not have a football team.
That's right.
You can have the greatest athletes in the world in the backfield, but if they can't get into the open or the opposing team is eating them up, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and fortunately for us, again, we have our offensive line we're blessed to have some kids that are really big, and then kids who aren't so big, like our center Will, but they just scrap and fight and get every ounce of potential out of themselves that they can get. And then our defensive side of the ball, defensive line, has been really, I would say, a pleasant surprise, because coming into the season, I would have thought that would be a weakness for us, because. And I told the guys this, just talking about the whole defense. I said, there's really 3 guys on our defense that people kind of know about. I said, every one of you the rest of y'all were unknowns. Like, no one knew what you were going to be coming into the season. And we kind of thought, based on maybe what you did on JV or what you did in the offseason, but no one knew. And so it's been really fun to see those guys emerge as playmakers and step up. And, talking on the defensive line, of course, we're led by Zay Pryor. He's one of those guys who we knew what he could do. And he's continued to dominate and have a really good season. But a guy like Keyshawn Whitaker, who tore up his knee last year, is he going to be the same player? And we've actually even moved him inside, and he's really embraced that role and done a really good job for us. And then Aaron Ballard, who was kind of was a backup last year and not really sure where he would fit, and he's been super dependable for us. And then Cornell Nunn has been a guy who's been really lightning in a bottle for us, playing outside linebacker and defensive end, and he's been a really good addition for us on our defense. And then you got backup guys like Jason Webster is a sophomore, really tall, angular kid at defensive end who can get after the passer. Bryson Mosley is a freshman who you don't know he's a freshman based on the way he plays and just the way he carries himself. Justin Osborne. Justin Osborne is another kid who has been a huge addition for us. And he's a senior, and they're playing in the interior D-line. And so, all of those guys have really done a good job of stepping up and embracing their role and have really turned themselves into a really solid defensive line.
What has been the biggest surprise for you in the progression of this team? Each week they grow and grow. Last week was the best they have looked.
Yeah.
In all aspects. And look at our kicker.
Yeah.
We had a kid that couldn't kick the ball 10 yards the first game of the season. Now he's kicking, some of those are going through at 25, 30 yards.
Yeah, everybody, who's been following us all year saw, when we played Leonard at Melissa, we did not feel good about just the whole operation of kicking an extra point, which you're like, how did you get to that point in the season? It's not like we hadn't been working on it. It was just a process, and we were taking a kid and we had some other guys that we were working, and once we kind of figured out Ethan was going to be our guy, again, Coach Reeves started working with him some, and actually a lot, and putting in work with them and everything, and he's continued to just get better and better each week, and he's emerged as a weapon for us, and now we have a lot of confidence in him, and that's big, heading to this time of year where you see teams all the time. It comes down to extra points and, getting those extra points. And so, he's been a big-time weapon for us.
And his punting has gotten better and better, and kicking off. And now he can point to a spot and kick.
That's right. That's right.
Just kick it and hope he gets there.
Yeah, and he's got 2 more years to grow and develop, and so we're really looking forward to what he's going to do. Just to see the growth in 8 or 9 weeks, and now we can start projecting what he's going to be like as a senior. It's really exciting.
Coach, we're assuming it's going to be us, Gladewater, Tatum, Atlanta, or maybe Gladewater, but I think Gladewater's probably out. Probably those are going to be the 4 teams. And we go up against District 7. District 7, Winsboro's in number 1 spot. They're 4-0. in district, 7-1 overall. Malakoff is 3-0 in district. And then you go down to 2-5, 2-5, 2-5, 1-7, and 0-8. So there's not that much there. In our region, if you get out of our by district, it should be a cakewalk. You never want to look at it that way.
Yeah.
But still, they don't have, Grandview is not what Grandview has been. I really don't know much about Port. Pottsboro is Pottsboro. They're gonna give you a fight, but
Yeah.
beyond that, it's just kind of a cakewalk. And I say that generously because there's never a cakewalk when you get into the playoffs.
So what it would end up being is I think we would match up with that District 5, which is like West and Mahia, like in the second round, and then the third round we'd swing back around, and it would probably be someone like you're looking like a Malakoff, depending on where we finish. And then that fourth round would be, there'd be two of us left in this region, so it's going to be, be someone, hopefully from our district versus, I would say, probably from District 7, whether it's Winsboro or Malakoff there for the fourth round. I do think the team that gets out of our region is going to be in a state championship, and now if I were guessing, probably out of facing the team from Region 3, which is Franklin, Columbus, and those guys, Hitchcock. So yeah, we have a really tough region, and we're just trying to make sure we do everything we can to put ourselves in the best position when playoffs come here in a few weeks.
Okay, Coach, let's go back to Sabine. Well, how are you preparing the guys for Sabine?
Yeah, so the challenge is with their quarterback being hurt, they played a bunch of different guys there this year, and so the challenge is, with each different quarterback, that they can all do different things, and they ask them to do different things, and so you kind of have to really have a not a vanilla game plan, but just sort of a game plan that can be flexible enough to just generic enough and to where we can adjust to a lot of different things depending on who's back there and what they're going to ask that kid to do. And but we have a pretty good beat on them, we think, and know what to expect, offensively and defensively. And fortunately, their offense is very similar to what we've seen in weeks past, and even for our offensive guys, their defense is one that we've seen before from an X's and O's schematic standpoint. So, but again, we have some things we want to fix and want to clean up, and so we're definitely focusing on that as well.
Will you be looking at any new plays offensively or defensively? Yeah,
we've got some new stuff coming, on offense that we may roll out tonight, Friday night, and that we think will give people down the road some problems and some issues and take advantage of some things. Defensively, we'll probably move some people around and put them in different positions just to see what that looks like and try to put ourselves in the best position to win a football game.
What is going to be the biggest challenge you have this week? And I keep hitting on this because we're beating up. We're going to beat up a team that's not very good, but those guys sometimes can surprise you.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's just going to be keeping us focused on us. And I think, like we told our kids, with our JV guys, there's 9 practices left. I mean, this thing's almost over. And with our varsity guys, there's 9 practices left in this regular season. And when those 9 practices are done, we're going to have a really good idea of where we stand, as far as looking at the postseason. And so we got to make sure we take advantage of every one of those opportunities to put ourselves in a driver's seat, when it comes time to the postseason.
And you've got at least two of the teams that we've got to play, and neither one of them are going to be a walkover. Both of them. For some reason, everyone plays us tough.
Well, and Liberty Ilo and Tatum are both, some had them picked winning the district of the year at the beginning of the year, and so I think it could very easily go to either one of us, any of those 3 teams, and so we're going to have to come out and play really well these last 3 weeks in order to do that.
Coach, you're going to be moving the defensive lineman around as well?
Yeah, we could. We have some, like I said, and it's not even it's a good thing because we've had some guys, like I said, Justin Osborne is one, Jason Webster. Some of those young guys have emerged, and so we could play them in different spots and kind of just see if they can excel at those different places. But yeah, we'll be doing some stuff with those guys also.
Okay, you tell me what we need to talk about. What do you think that we've missed?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think one of the things that maybe goes unnoticed is just all the hard work that and I know we've had coaches on this show, but we have a lot of coaches who are doing a lot of things behind the scenes in order to help our kids be successful. Coach Kimball, he's been here before. He's our defensive coordinator. He's been busting his tail trying to get these guys to stay on top of their grades and been meeting with teachers, and he's been he's up in the school all the time, and in teachers' classrooms, making sure guys are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And we didn't lose any varsity football players to grades this past week, and that was really big for us because we got to be able to control the things that we can control, and how we handle our business up at the school is one of those. And so just things like that.
Those are the behind-the-scene things that people out there don't know about.
Absolutely. Well, and like you talk about our special teams growth, and what people don't see is that now starting last week we started practicing in the afternoons, but in the we were practicing in the mornings. Coach Reeves had all the guys up here on Tuesday afternoon just working special teams, and so we're just working on different skills, and so all that stuff that you think these kids they just figured it out. Well, it's a lot of work in the dark that's done behind the scenes that no one knows. They just see the result on Friday. And so just those guys, those coaches, again, Coach Simmons, who's our offensive coordinator, just spends a lot of time with Tamias, working through some stuff and working on him. Coach Carson spends a lot of time with our running backs. They watch video on Mondays, extra video, just going through stuff, and he grades them each week and sends out some comments and things like that for them to get better. And so I guess all the stuff that our coaches are doing, even to Coach Randolph, and making sure that our equipment and everything's handled the way that it's supposed to be handled each week. It takes all of that to for us to be successful. And so I guess all the behind the scenes work that our coaches are doing is something that definitely want to highlight and shout out, because that stuff a lot of times goes unnoticed.
Coach, we have a lot of coaches other than the main coaches we have. Those guys are in the background, and they're doing the things that the big guys can't do. But it's so important that they're there doing what they do.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little about some of those guys.
Yeah. One of the guys, and we'll just start on the offensive side of the ball, is Coach Pete Johnson. He's from Jefferson. He played here, and he's been a big time big time part of our staff. Because he was already here, but he's been big time just because he's been a big resource for me, because he's from Jefferson. He understands the people and the families, and I can go to him and say, hey, help me out with this. Maybe it's a kid or a family or whatever. But he also
knows most of those kids from age 6 all the way
out.
And
and that's another thing is that he drives a white Suburban around town, and there's not many mornings where that thing's not driving around downtown or down MLK with a bunch of kids in it. And he's picking kids up and taking them to school. And so that's one of those things he always does, and he just does a great job in addition to his coaching responsibilities of doing that. Matt Ashby is someone else who joined us this year, and we really didn't know what we were going to get out of Coach Ashby, but he's done a great job of working and just working with our quarterbacks and helping Coach Simmons with those guys, and he is a worker. I mean, he's going to be the one out on the field setting waters up and getting stuff ready to go, and so really appreciate him. Coach Bladen Reeves is Kevin Reeves' son. He's got this weight room on lock. I mean, he helps his dad, and he's kind of the.
Does he have that same mentality?
He's a little more laid back, which is good, because he kind of balances his dad out a little bit. But he's really sharp and has our kids doing some great stuff in the weight room, and does a great job with that. One of those places where we've grown a lot is that H-back spot, where Bladen coaches with Avery Lawson. He's really emerged as a threat in the passing game, and so Those are some guys on offense. On defense, I mentioned Randolph, Coach Randolph. He coaches our interior D linemen and does a great job with them. And like I said, anything operationally that we do as a football program, he's got a hand in. Whether it's getting meals or it's equipment or any of that kind of stuff, and he does a great job with that. And then we got Coach Biles, who is our DB's coach, and also our junior high coordinator, and he does a great job in both of those spots, and has really we've seen a lot of growth in our secondary with Chance Washington's kind of emerged as a player for us, and of course our leading tackler is our safety Daniel Smith. And so Coach Biles obviously does a great job with those guys, and then in addition to what he does over at the junior high. And then finally Coach Phillips is he helps me with the defensive line, and he's also helps Coach Randolph with a lot of the operational stuff, as far as getting meals and getting fields set up. And so we just have a lot of guys, obviously who they don't care about being out front and all that kind of stuff. They just love the kids and put a lot of work into what we do, and it's a big help.
Coach, going back to the grades, that's an area that the public doesn't see. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we've had some kids that they just didn't have it mentally for the grades, but with the help of the coaches, they were able to make it through and graduate.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to, it's like anything else. If they see that it's important to us, it's going to be important to them. It's like being in the weight room. If the coaches don't show up in the weight room and they're not encouraging the kids, well, then it's not going to look like it's very important to us, and it's not going to be very important to them. And so by the fact that we have coaches, it's not just Coach Kimball, it's a lot of our coaches who are in the hallways and talking with teachers and in lunch duty and doing things like that. It's apparent that how those guys do is important to us, and it's a big deal to us. And I think the teachers appreciate it because they know that they have another advocate in us as far as coaches. We have their backs, and we're there to support them and not pressure them in any way of helping a kid out that doesn't deserve to be helped. We just want them to know, hey, you have an extra resource here besides, a principal or an assistant principal who is on your team, who's trying to help you. And so I think that's been a big deal for the teachers as well.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the community being involved and everything. The tailgating you've started doing on. What time is it? 5 o'clock?
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock, and this one, obviously they'll be out there right now. All this thing is playing, but we're really excited about it, and that's been a big deal. Carrie Schwartz, Stephanie Humphrey, and our whole booster club.
Those ladies work hard.
They have done an unbelievable job, and I know I shouldn't even said those names because I left a bunch of them out, but they do a great job each week of getting that thing organized and pulling in businesses and organizations to come and help. And so this week is a trunk or treat and got the kids coming out and different businesses. Yeah, and it coincides with Youth Night, which is tonight. We're going to honor our youth football teams and our youth cheerleading squads, and so that was a dream of mine, was taking a community like this and getting everybody involved and making it the Friday of the game just one big event, a community celebration of all the good things that we have going on here.
You said something earlier. What's going on tonight?
So tonight at 5, we have our pregame tailgate, and this one's a little more special than I guess maybe the other ones because it's a trunk or treat, so kids can put on their costumes.
They've always done that up in the park. That's kind of unique.
Yeah, and it didn't take away anything else that's going on in the community. This is just something else for kids and for families, and they have some awesome food trucks set up out there. My family ate there last time, and they loved it, and that's they've gotten to where they look forward to that, and that's just kind of become part of the Friday routine. And of course, the football team walks through the crowd on the way to our locker room at 5:45, and that's been a really cool deal to be able to slap hands with everybody, and
especially the little guys that are in Little League football.
That's right. Yeah,
they get to see those big guys, the heroes.
Yeah, that's right. And so it's been a lot of fun.
Anything else we need to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we're ready to go. We're looking forward to being back in our normal schedule and playing games, and really looking forward to closing out this regular season.
And I love home games.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
7-0. Let's make it 8. Let's go.